Mr. Ballman, this is for your consideration. Before we get into the video, I'm going to give you a little bit of background of what's been going on in the game at this point. This was our second objective. So currently, when this was taken, we had taken the next point. So this was neither the defensive point or the offensive point. However, there were a few stragglers left behind on both sides in the town. So we were aware of each other's presence. So people were generally on their guard. They weren't just standing around and not expecting any contact. And I will say, when I first go into this building, I do notice there's what I believed at the time to be a radio glitching through the wall. It turned out to be an ammo crate. But so I was going in there expecting heavy contact, so I was ready. Alright, so looking at that clip in real time, it looks like I initially had the jump on him, and then it appears that I had some sort of stroke or something, and my gun went everywhere. It was very weird to me in real time because it seemed like I just lined him right up in my sights and opened fire, and he was about 10 meters away, maybe 15, so you'd think that would be a pretty easy kill. Let's look at it in slow motion and see if we can't see anything else. So there's a few things I noticed for the first time when watching this in slow motion. The first thing was that there was some sort of lag or hang there at the beginning. Um, we're going to call this the divergence from now on, because I believe that's probably where things started to go wrong. Another thing I noticed was at the end, I actually ended up killing the guy. I did not realize in real time that I actually killed him. I thought he just killed me because all I could see was black and red on my screen. At least that's all I registered. So now we're going to break down shot by shot that I took. And even while watching it in slow motion, I can't tell if I took 14 shots or 15 shots. And we'll go into that a little bit later. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is the divergence. And as you can see from the screenshot here, it's not just a lag in the video you're watching. It actually happened in the game, because you can see his ammo pouch is about 3 feet to his right, as if the game thought he was moving to the right still when he was not. And that's also evident by, if you paid attention to slow motion, there's about almost a 2-second delay. Now that was slowed down by a factor of about 10, but still, that's a third of a second of time that's just wasted. So I do believe from this point forward, our two realities were not the same. So whatever he saw on his screen probably doesn't match up at all with what we're watching here. Alright, so this is the first shot, and arguably the most interesting. You can see what's going on the screen doesn't add up at all. My gun is facing, 10 degrees to the left, but he is right in the middle of my screen, and somehow that equates to me shooting him. You can see the blood coming from his chest. So in my reality, he shot once in the chest immediately at the beginning of the engagement. Here we have a zoomed in right in the center of the screen shot of the first shot that I took. So you can see from this, according to my reality at least, I did get a little lucky, because it was aiming at the doorway, but it hit him down to the bottom left of the screen. So I guess I got lucky, even though my gun was facing way to the left and my screen was in the middle, I still got the first hit on him. Here is a still frame of my second shot. As you can see, my gun has now shifted from the left side of the screen to almost covering the entire middle of my screen, and I can no longer see the target, which is very disorienting in real time. Here we have an image of zoomed into the center of my screen for the second shot, and as you can see, I couldn't tell what I was actually aiming at because the gun is covering the entire middle of the screen. Here I went ahead and overlaid the images of shot 1 and shot 2. A couple things you can note is I barely move. My character barely moves. You can see he's a little bit forward, and he might be looking very slightly more to the right, talking about 1 or 2 degrees here. Also, the guns are in vastly different positions. So much so that it did disorient me in real time. Now with shots 3 and 4, you can see I'm still very much to the top right of the target because I'm very confused. I can no longer see the target. My gun's in a completely different position and I don't know what's going on. We now take a look at shots 5, 6, and 7. You can see now I'm trying to compensate to the bottom left because I thought that my screen was to the top right, but in reality it was just when the gun decided to take over the entire screen, I couldn't tell what was going on. Now at shot 8 you can see he's begun to return fire, so I have a 7-shot advantage on him, but because of the divergence I have no idea how this actually played out. Alright, and here I group shots 9 through 12 together because it has to do with me trying to overcompensate again to the top right. You can see here in shot 10 that I should have made contact with him, but absolutely none of these shots show any contact whatsoever, even though he's moving from right to left on my screen and I'm moving from left to right aiming. I guess I just get very unlucky. Perhaps he's faster than bullets. That's entirely possible. So here is shot 13. Again, it looks like this should be a hit, but it does not register, at least I don't think. And this is shot 14, otherwise known as the Crotch Shot. And I believe this is the shot that killed him. That depends on whether or not I shot 14 times or 15 times, which again, I've listened to in slow motion a dozen times, and I can't really determine if I've shot 14 or 15 times. I will say, though, that between this shot and the phantom shot, shot 15, you do see the blood protruding from his lower abdomen as he falls down. Here's a still frame of what I believe is the 15th shot, aka the phantom shot. I call it that because I don't believe you can shoot your weapon when you're dead, but nonetheless, every time I play it back on slow motion, I can hear that shot, I believe. Alright, so that ends the analysis of this video. The conclusions I draw is that what probably happened is there was a server lag spike the second that I saw him, and due to that, it threw everything out of whack, and I couldn't tell what was happening, even though it was just milliseconds. I don't think my brain could register the shifting of the images like that. So I think he probably got lucky. I'm pretty sure I should have had him dead. The other thing is a takeaway. It does look like maybe I fired before aiming down my sights. That could have had something to do with it. But again, I do think any discrepancy there is due to that lag spike right at the beginning.